What's up, guys? It's George Eliuyu, and today I have a special guest with me, my coach, Jeff Lotry. What are we doing today, Jeff?
Today we're going to learn how to wrap hands for competition.
Let's do it.
Okay, you want me to go ahead?
Yeah,
okay. Okay, so today what we want to accomplish is we're going to do a competition wrap. First I'll go over some of the products that I use. So this is from Untitled. It's a single weave. Okay, and then for the pads, this is made by Leroy. It's got a lot more of a, there's a lot more to it. Okay, that's the one I use to build the pads for the fist. For the tape, I use the Leroy tape. I don't know if you can see the label in there or not. Okay, it's a really high quality tape. This is probably like $4 a roll. And then whatever lower quality tape that you want to use underneath that is fine. Okay, the reason why we wrap hands is there's a bunch of little bones between your wrist, tips of your fingers, and we're not really designed to make a fist and punch things with our fist. Okay, so we've got to create something that will protect the hand. So we want to have padding across the knuckle. We want to have good support for the bones in the back of the hand. We want to have good support for the wrist, and we also want to have good support for the thumb. Okay. What I recommend doing before you get started is just laying everything out that you're going to need. Make sure everything is accessible. Another thing I recommend doing is taking your time with it. You know, you're not really sure. If you're not really sure how long it's going to take you on competition night or competition day, you know, work with it. You know, figure out how long it takes you in the gym. Figure out what that specific fighter, what he really likes. Does he like it real snug? Does he like a lot of support on the knuckles? You know, just know what because each fighter's a little different, and there's really no wrong way to do it as long as you're accomplishing everything I said. Good padding, good support. Okay, everyone's a little different. Everybody does things a little different. Everyone is going to have a little bit better ways of doing some aspects of it, a little worse ways of doing other aspects of it. This is just the way that George and I have decided that we like to do wrapping. Another thing that you want to do is make sure that if you can, figure out what gloves it is that you're going to be wearing. Figure out how much space you're going to have in there. If you've got a lot of space, you've got to occupy that space. You can't have a small little wrap and then a big area inside the glove, because that won't really work. You want everything to be fit together. You want to have everything to be snug inside the glove. Okay? George, do you have any questions?
No.
Okay. So we've done everything. We've got everything laid out. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create the pad. Okay? And then I'm going to have that just sitting aside. The way I do that is this is going to be wide enough so it just barely fits on his fist. Okay? And I'm going to fold it over. Okay? So I'm taking my time. I'm making sure there's not any wrinkles. I'm trying to keep this pretty small. I don't want to have a whole lot of gauze. I don't want it to be really long. I want to keep it nice and small, so I feel like I can have a lot of control over it that way. Pretty, I'm putting it on pretty tight on my hand. It's pretty snug. Okay, and what I'll do is I'll try to get to the point where, because I know I'm almost to the end of where I want to be. See how much I have left here? Okay, so what I want to do at that point is I'm going to bring it to the middle, because that's going to be where his knuckles really are. And I'll give it about 3 or 4 good wraps. And when I put this on his hand, it'll make some more sense later on. Let's go one more, okay? Okay, so when I fold it over, that's what's going to be the lowest part. That's what's going to be on his knuckles. Okay? We're going to do his right hand. It's funny, sometimes you have one hand that you're better at wrapping than the other hand. It's kind of funny the way it works out. So just going to hold so that it gets snug. Okay. Go around the wrist a couple of times. And again, see, I'm keeping, I don't have a whole lot of material out. Keeping it pretty small so that I don't have a lot of wrinkles. Wrapping it around. Okay. See what George is doing right there? He's pulling his thumb in so that he knows that when he makes a fist, it's not going to be too snug. Okay, so I've gone around his thumb 3 times, and I'm laying it out so that I don't have a lot of wrinkles underneath there. Okay, I really like this this type of wrap. I'll show the container later on because I can really see how it moves in all directions. Okay, putting it down, and I'm kind of using this as an indicator as where I really want to have the bottom of the pad. Make fist, okay? So I'm just making sure that it fits good. Go around a couple of times. George, do me a favor, flip your hand over. Now I wouldn't normally do this, but I want them to see what it looks like so far on the bottom. Okay? All right. Flip back over. Now we're going to incorporate our pad. And this is really the most important part of the wrap. Okay, so see I've got that down towards the bottom. Snug. Over. And I want to make sure that that's right up to the edge of his hand. See how I snug that down? Make a fist. Okay, good. Snug it down on the back again. Make a fist. Okay. And you can move it around a little bit as you're working on it. Make sure that it's exactly where you want it to be. You could do that now. You're not. It's going to be harder the more buildup you have on it. Make a fist again. Okay. Smoothing it out as I go. Snug, but not too tight. Okay. After you do it a while, you get to start to feeling exactly how you want it to be. Okay. So now I've built that up pretty good. And I'll just ask the fighter, to make a fist, how does it feel? Make sure that you go, because it's easy to make corrections now. Later on, once you start getting in the final stages of it, it's almost impossible to make those corrections. Okay, see George puts his thumb down again, make sure that he's got, okay. I'll come through in order to hold everything down. Goes through, makes a fist, okay? And we come back around. Through. Okay, one more time through each of them. So these are going to hold the wrap in place. It's going to pull it down, pull it over so that it stays over the knuckles. And then I'm going back over everything again, covering everything up. I recommend doing this not just for times of when you're in competition, but do it every once in a while for yourself in the gym, just so you don't lose the skill. Because I feel like it's a perishable skill, and if you don't do it very often, because how many times a year do you compete? Do it a couple times in the gym, especially as you're coming up to the fight time. Figure out how long it is it's going to take you. Okay, so I'm done with the gauze now. And I'm going to wrap this over with the cheaper tape so that I don't use all of my expensive tape. Now with the tape, I'm pulling it out quite a bit, okay? And when I pull it out, I hold it down here with my thumb so that it doesn't create tension on the tape, so I'm not increasingly making it tighter and tighter on his hand. Working to make sure that I don't have any wrinkles. Okay, and George will pull his thumb in, because that's the position that he's going to be in when he's inside the glove. And when you break the tape, I'm just putting pressure on that edge with my thumb and pulling down like that. Okay, so what we have is no wrinkles. Okay, now I'll start using my good tape. Take your time, make sure you're doing everything right. Okay, when I do this, it's going to hold things in position going in the other direction. Okay, I pinch it together, kind of roll it so that it's small, going in between his knuckles. And the difference between the two tapes is basically it's just a little bit higher quality cloth material, but the main difference is the amount of adhesion that's on it. As you're pulling it off, you can really feel a big difference. Okay, now here's for both pros and amateurs. Here's the point where when you're having them inspected, you can't have the tape too close to the knuckles. It's supposed to be an inch back, and that's about right there. You know, if it's pros in the state of California, the inspector will be sitting watching you, or he's watching several people wrap at the same time, get his attention, and tell him that now's the time that you're going to you put it across the knuckle, out a little bit, give him something to hold on to there, okay? And then lay it down right about where it's going to be, okay? That might be a little bit too back. You might be able to get away with just a little bit forward, but for today, that's okay. Okay, I made it tight. Then when I get to the end of the hand, then I'm going to just bring it through. I'm going to make it so that it's one bar right across there, okay? Another one, and I'm going to go tight on the top, snug. One more. Tight. Okay. Okay. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is across the back of his hand, I'm going to create some different layers and different directions of tape to give him good support for those bones that are across the back of the hand. Tight, 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 holding it. One more. Okay, then we'll go back in the other direction. So I'm creating an X across the back of his hand. Tight, tight, tight. And one more. Now we'll cover everything up. And I'm pulling that about as tight as I can when I'm putting these on across the top. Good support for the thumb. And I'm taking it all the way back, all the way to the top of the wrist. Okay, so I don't want to put that on the inside because that's where all of the flexation of those muscles are going to be. Okay, but on the top, that's where all the bones are at, and that's going to allow him to make a really tight fist. Okay, and then from there, what I'll do is I'll just clean it up a little bit. Okay, last thing, have him make a fist, and I'm just pushing it down. Make sure that everything is compact. Okay, and I make sure that he feels that he likes it. Now, let's say for example that you know, it's like maybe it's a newer fighter and he's like, oh, it's too tight, it's too tight. Okay. One of the things that you can do, especially if he's going to sit around and wait for a while, if it's an amateur and he's got to have the wraps on for a while, maybe the day goes on a little bit longer than they thought it was going to. Things you can do to alleviate some of that pressure, instead of taking everything off, one of the things you can do is you can cut here a little bit and you can cut here a little bit, and then you tape over those. Okay, so it's just loosening it up a little bit. Honestly, once you've created this area right here, it's pretty much done. You're going to have a difficult time really doing anything. If he's having pressure around in this area, you're going to have a hard time really being able to do too much with it. Okay, so that's why I try to work with my fighter before it's competition day, see what he likes, see how he likes it. Now, George really likes his wraps pretty snug. Okay, he's never told me, oh, that's too tight. Okay, you know, my feeling is I like things to be snug, but to each their own. And that's that individual's the one that's got to be in there, and he's going to be the one that's got to do the fighting. So he's got to be comfortable with what he has. All right. So that's why during the course of the time that I'm wrapping his hands, I'll make sure that it's okay. I'll just ask him, you okay? Is it too tight? Let me know now. Okay, because once we get done, I mean, we're gonna have a hard time. Okay, figure out how long it's gonna take you to do it, so you'll know how long it's gonna take you on fight night to wrap hands. At that point, you know, the inspector will come over, take a look, sign them all off. Usually, one of the things that I keep in my bag is I'll keep a Sharpie, because they usually use Sharpie. Say this guy, you know, he's disorganized or whatever, he doesn't have a Sharpie with him. Hey, guess what? I got the Sharpie here. You know, we're self-contained. We can do everything ourselves. George, you have any questions?
No, feels good.
Did I forget anything?
No.
Okay.
That was pretty much it.
Okay. I went over all of the products. I guess I guess we're good.
That's a wrap.
Okay.
All right, guys, thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, please like, share, and subscribe. If you have any questions, comments, suggestions, leave them in the comment section below. Anything else you want to say, Jeff?
No. Train hard.
Train hard.